Hey folks, Nicole here, and it is week 11 of the Sampler Spree Slow Along hosted by me, Nicole Gilbert. And in this video, we are doing block number 37 from Susan Ache's amazing book called Sun Rays. If you haven't gotten a chance to grab a copy, go ahead and visit the link in the video description. So Sun Rays is a quote block that can be found on page 35. Before I forget, it's on page 35. And this is a block that uses templates. And so you use templates to cut pieces A and then B and then reverse B. And what is really interesting about it is that, I mean, it's interesting but not interesting, you know, it is what it is. You can either cut a template out, trace it, or you can use something like a Tri-Rex ruler, or there's a bunch of different rulers on the market that have these same dimensions, but you'll want to cut them at the 2.5 inch mark if you're using one of those rulers. If you don't want to deal with templates or rulers at all, you can skip this block. There are extra blocks made in this sampler quilt so that you can skip blocks that you don't want to do, namely the template or ruler blocks. And so this week in week 11, there's an extra block. We're doing 5 blocks this week instead of 4, so that if you don't want to do the templates, you don't have to. Now, I have gone in depth on making templates in a previous video that used them. So if you would like a little refresher on that, there is a link in the video below that you can check out. So the overall construction of Sun Rays is a pretty straightforward 9 patch once you have constructed the kind of sawtooth variant points on this star. So I'm going to take the corners and the center off to the side, and we're going to deal with making these. Now, what we'll want to do when we're placing our blocks, do you see what I just did there? I put them together so that they make a square. This is going to be the easiest way for you to see how it's supposed to go together. And then what you're going to do is you're going to align these edges. So the edge of this white piece and then the edge of your colored piece together. And so it's not gonna, you know, be a easy flat flip like that. What's going to happen is you're going to kind of be at an angle there, and we're going to sew that together. And so it's going to kind of lay like this when you sew it. Okay? So it's a little weird looking, but your straight edge that you're sewing is correct, and you're going to be using a 1/4 inch foot. So I'm going to go ahead and chain piece all 4 of these, press them, and then we will do the same for the other side. So we're back from the pressing station, and now it's time to sew this piece onto what we just created. Now I want to point out, if you sewed yours and when you pressed it, it was like off and kind of weird, it's because there was a misalignment with your pieces. I'm picking off threads, don't judge me. And so you want to make sure that you actually set it off a 1/4 inch so that it ends up nice and square. If you ended up with weird like cattywampus pieces, you will want to take a little handy friend Jack the Ripper out and straighten those up. Alrighty? All right, and there you have it. So now we've got all of our, for lack of a better word, sawtooth points, because they're obviously not sawtooth points because of the angle, but that's the kind of look that we're getting. So now we can build our block. So we'll put our center in, all of our sides, and then we can put our corners. Okay. So now at this point, it's just like basic 9-block construction. So we'll sew this column to this column. So this to this, this to this, this to this. We'll press, then we'll complete each of those rows, press, and then we'll sew our rows together. Okay. So we have sewn together this, we've started each of the rows, and now let's complete them by sewing the last portion to them. Okay, so now our rows are complete, and now it's just time to sew them together. And this is a great time where if you haven't been using pins yet, to start using them so that we can make sure that our seams line up perfectly and we don't end up with a cattywampus star. So now it's time to finish the block. And one thing I want to point out, and this is something that I'm running into as I am sewing, is that for whatever reason, there's one angle. No, I can't find it. Where's this crazy pants? It's this one. For some reason, my machine really didn't like starting with this angle. And I would kind of end up stitching a few stitches in place. And I found that the best thing to do was to get as far as I could. As soon as it started stitching itself in place, I would cut my thread, advance it like 1 stitch length, and then start stitching again. And it would be totally fine. So it was just like a little hiccup spot that was catching. So keep that in mind. So if you're having that issue, that's how I solved that. All right, folks, and there you have it. Isn't it so much fun? This is the Sun Rays block from the Sampler Spree book, and I would love to see what yours look like, so go ahead and use the hashtag Sampler Spree Slow Along so that I can see what you're up to. I'll see you in the next video.